So this is a show called Halfway There. It's a show of our students who are graduating in the spring. So there's 6 Diploma of Fine Arts students and 1 independent studio program. So we thought it would be fun to see what they're up to when they're halfway through the program. And it's also an opportunity for our curatorial students to put up a show. So they went in the studios of our graduating students and picked out work. And so it was interesting, all the dynamics, because of course the curators wanted to pick one thing and then the artists wanted another, and so it gave everyone an opportunity to understand that relationship, and it's not as smooth as people might dream. So when we put up a show, the first thing we do is to try and find a piece that would be a focal point. So as soon as you walk in, it catches your attention. So this is Jim Mulchinock's piece where he collects driftwood from the beach and saws it off, and then he has a very systematic way of putting it all together. And then he has a few pieces he calls satellites where they go off the edge. So he's been working on this all semester and more small scale ones, and this one he decided to see what happened if you really increase the scale. So that's his piece. And then Chantelle over here is working with the idea of rust, using rust to draw with and soaking things in rust, and just, how can you make drawings without making purposeful marks? So that's her work. And then over here we have Kim Leslie, who's doing these pieces. They're figures in architecture, and they're a lot about how, in particular, older women start becoming invisible, and as their body starts falling apart as well. So she's using this mylar with erasure to really kind of get that across, and using the architecture as a kind of structural support. And then there's some more rust experiments with Chantelle, and then Karima is creating these creatures that she thinks about maybe like as her shadow or her dark self. And it's been interesting working with her because sometimes she's afraid of them and she doesn't want to go in the studio, but she's also using these as a source for painting. But we thought we would make an installation of them by having them take up space in the wall. And then this is Jane Coombe, who is working on installation. So it started off, she just was making paintings. You can see that painting with the circle, and then she kind of built around it. So how can you start with one piece and really let it grow from the center? And then we could end here. This is Alison Knoll's piece, and so she's made this sort of banner, and it's in honor of her brother who passed away. And she also made these soaps that have different kinds of material. They actually have like human ash in them, and bacon, and I can't even remember all the substances, but she wanted to take what kind of thing could you make, object can you make that could contain meaningful materials. Yeah, so they're all, I think I covered, maybe I'll also just talk with June. These were the pieces you were remarking on. So June is working with images of Detroit and like layering. It started off, she was working with ancient ruins, but then she thought, well, what if we look at more contemporary ruins, and how we're attracted to ruins and sort of romantic, but then there's also something really dark and sad about them. So she's trying to capture that in these works. And the show is on until December 10th, so people should feel free to come by and check it out.